extend my warm welcome to resource persons, faculty, participants from various colleges for the inaugural session of 6-day faculty development program on recent trends and advancements in computer science by Eminent Academicians in association with VJIT CSI Students Branch Region 5 organizing by Department of CSE. Now let me introduce our department. The Department of CSE established in the year 1999. The programs offered BTech with 240 intake. Since inception, the department always attracted the best of engineering aspirants from all over the country. It is successful in producing skilled and batch. It offers the best infrastructure, provides excellent learning and research environment, and delivers the dynamic curriculum through strong industry collaborations. The leadership of the head and the dedicated team of steadfast faculty are persistent to make the teaching learning process leveraged with global standards. The programs covers a variety of courses in cutting-edge technologies via artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, cloud computing, cybersecurity, blockchain technologies, and Internet of academic success, and 90% of the students placed in best MNCs. That makes the department most preferred. I probably say the last year VJIT introduced a new BTech course, Artificial Intelligence, with 120 intake, and this year introducing Artificial Intelligence and Data Science with 120 intake. The objective of this faculty development program is to enrich the faculty on recent trends on different research areas like machine learning, neural networks, deep learning on social media analytics, computer vision, natural language processing applications, and so on. I'm delighted to introduce CSI Regional Vice President, RVP for Region 5, Professor MS Prasad Babu, who is Professor in Computer Science Engineering and Systems Engineering, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. He has undergone short-term programs in the engineering disciplines at various reputed institutions, IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, NIT Mangalore, ISB Hyderabad, IIM Lucknow. He served as chairman, faculty of engineering, and ex-officio member of Academic Senate, Andhra University, vice principal, AU College of Engineering, chairman, BOS in CS and SE, head of the Department of CS and SE. He also served as member of Academic Senate of Acharya N.G. Ranga Agricultural University, Hyderabad, 1986, from the hands of Prime Minister late Sri Rajiv Gandhi at a young age of 30 years. He was also awarded the University Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishna Best Academician Award for the year 2014 by Andhra University in recognition of his determination, 39 years of academic excellent experience, teaching, and published more than 240 research papers in national and international journals and conferences. He was recently elected as Regional Vice President for CSI Region 5 for the period of 1st April 2019 to 31st March 2021. He was a member of Inspection Commission, Accreditation Committee of AICTE, National Board of Accreditation, visited more than 100 institutions all over India, and gave valuable suggestions for their development. Now I invite Professor MS Prasad Babu sir for the inaugural speech. Over to you, sir.
Madam,
good evening.
Excuse me, sir. Our director, Dr. Sai Baba Reddy Garu, he joined the meeting.
Okay.
So, Madam, please, you can welcome the sir.
Good morning, good afternoon, Vijay Kumar. Very nice
Sir,
to
good evening, sir.
have you online again.
Yes, sir.
And I welcome all the participants for this faculty development program. And
Yes.
I wish we have an effective time spent staying at home with these
Yes, sir.
academic activities. I
Work at home.
wish you all effective interaction with all of you, and have it on photograph only, not in the physical. Yeah, I
Sir.
wish you all the best. I look forward to have a good, fruitful discussions to go on. Thank you.
Sir, today we have with us resource person, Dr. Subramanyam Garu from KL University. He is going to give a speech today, and we have our Computer Society of India Regional Vice President, Professor Maddali Surendra Prasad Babu, also with us. And now, sir is going to address all the faculty community, and then followed by a lecture by Subramanyam sir.
First of all, let me thank all the invited speakers for sparing your valuable time with us. And I could see that there are few people from the KL University and Satyabama University, and also Vijay Kumar from the
Anurag
group and other faculty members. I think two people are from Satyabama, our BJIT group, for this faculty development program, and I'm also, so that it is going to be more effective interaction. Please convey your experiences, especially on the topic which you have chosen for interacting with the faculty.
Thank you, sir.
I appeal to all faculty to be more active and be clear, be having think that it is only passing time, but having the knowledge shared.
Sir.
With this, I
Okay.
once again welcome you all, and thank you for Vijay Kumar.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for joining with us, sir.
Thank you. Please carry on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now I invite
Thank you, sir.
CSI Regional Vice President RVP for Region 5, Professor MS Prasad Babu, sir, for the inaugural speech. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Good evening. I am glad to note that Vidya Jyoti Institute of Technology is organizing a one-week FDB on recent trends and advancements in computer science and engineering. I congratulate the Department of CSC, in particular, Dr. Sai Baba Reddy, Director, Professor Vijay Kumar, Head of the Department, and Professor Dr. Abdul Majid, SBC, and other faculty members to select a good topic for the FDP. And also welcome Professor Subramanyam, KLU, for giving this keynote address on this lecture. I, Professor M. Surendra Prasad Babu, Regional Vice President, on behalf of Computer Society of India Region 5, and also on behalf of its National President, Professor R. K. Vyas, CSI, inaugurate the online faculty development program on recent trends and advancements in computer science and engineering, scheduled from 22nd July to 28th July 2020. I am very glad to note that this program is organized in this pleasant evenings, that is 4 to 6. I sincerely that this program includes the latest developments in the artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural network, deep learning, social media networks, and also computer vision. And train the teachers and also young students to update their skills for both teaching as well as the application by the young minds. This will definitely is a step to to bring India into the #1 position in the contemporary society in the area of computer science and information technology. By this time, we have shown our strength in the IT industry. When I visited China a few years back, when I say that I'm from India, so they appreciated us very much that India is #1 in all these aspects. I have no doubt this topic, this type of activities are very much necessary in this COVID-19 pandemic days, and look forward for several innovations and AI application in the contemporary society, in particular for the people depending on working on agriculture, medicine, and all and other areas for the benefit of the social well-being. Definitely, I hope that the young minds will bring some develop some apps here by getting the knowledge on this very interesting topic of the AI, machine learning, and deep learning. I once again congratulate the college and I wish good luck to all the participants. I thank all the speakers for sparing their time, precious time, by for giving the keynote addresses and choosing their excellent topics. This is Professor Surendra Prasad Babu, Computer Society of India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. Let us begin with the first day session.
Yeah.
We have with us eminent academician Dr. K Subramanyam, sir, who is professor in CSC KL University, who will talk on instigate research realm. On this note, I would like to invite Sir to take over the session. But before that, let me introduce high profile of today's speaker. Dr. K. Subramanyam, a gold medalist from Andhra University, is currently working as a professor in CSC and associate dean in KLEF Vaddeshwaram, Guntur. He is in teaching profession for the past of 27 years and prior to joining KLEF. He worked as program leader in the School of Engineering, Science and Technology at KDU University, Malaysia, for about 10 years. While working in Malaysia, Professor Subramaniam sir has been associated with many reputed universities like Carnegie Mellon University, USA, Murdoch University, Monash University, Australia, Northumbria University, UK, and gained international exposure on various teaching and learning pedagogies. He is the founder chairman of ACM, Amaravati chapter, and an active member of other professional societies like CSI, IEEE, and CSTA, etc. He has published more than 100 research papers in both national and international journals, conferences, and attended various workshops, conferences in Malaysia, Singapore, USA, and India. His research interests include knowledge engineering, software engineering, and soft systems methodologies. He has guided 5 scholars towards their PhD, 100 over students towards their masters and bachelor dissertations, and currently guiding another 8 towards their PhD. Now I hand over the session to Dr. K. Subramanyam sir to guide us the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Divya Madam, for a wonderful introduction of myself. And you forgot to introduce another important point that today's resource person is Sishya of Dr. Prasad Babu. Dr. Prasad Babu is my guru when I was studying my master's in Andhra University. So that is one thing I want to share. Sir, good evening.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
like
Thank you.
these, hundreds of resource persons are brought by Dr. Prasad Babu Garu. So we would like to first thank him for giving that knowledge those days, way back in 90s. We're talking about. Thank you, sir. So I will start my lecture with your permission.
Start. Please start. Please start, Subramaniam.
Yeah, sure. I'm doing so. I'm just trying to share my PPT. Just I'm waiting for that. One moment, please.
Subramaniam, day after tomorrow, I'm giving some lecture on AI.
Oh yeah, I will be there, sir. I have seen that. I will be there. Sure.
Sir, is there any problem in sharing, sir?
Yeah, I'm not able to share. I'm just able to share the screen. I'm just trying to share the PPT. Can I?
First, you open the PPT, sir, and then you go to that present now, and then there we have to select a
Yeah,
window.
it's name only screen and window.
Window you can
you
select.
can take.
I got it now. Yeah. Are you able to see that now?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, today just we are trying to just discuss this topic, which is instigate research realm. So it is all about initiating your research and building your own empire. It could be like AI or data analytics or network security, whatever. So basically, we will try to discuss today what is research is all about and what motivates us to do research and what should be the outcome of a research and what are the approaches that we can adopt in order to get that outcome and how to build the research empire. So for that, we try to see. Hello?
Please share your PPT. PPT is not coming.
Is it not visible? Okay, then maybe I have to.
No,
Sir, we
you
are
have
able to see. We are able to
It
see.
is visible, sir.
Yeah, I think maybe I just.
We are in agenda slide, sir. We are able to see.
Okay.
Is it okay, sir? No?
You can proceed, sir.
Yeah.
We are able to see.
Yeah. So that's what we want to conclude with a simple case study where how to build a problem and how to proceed further and so on. Are you able to see the screen now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, then no problem. Yeah. So let us try to understand basically what is research. There are many people who gave different definitions. So it is nothing but an academic activity which comprises defining and redefining the problem, formulating or suggesting the solution, collecting, organizing, and evaluating the data, making the deductions and reaching conclusions, and at last, carefully testing the conclusions to find out whether they fit the formulating hypothesis or the solution proposed. So this is a proposed definition by Clifford Woody way back in 1925, who belongs to University of Michigan. And later, earlier, another definition was given, like the manipulation of things, concepts, or symbols for the purpose of generalizing to extend, correct, or verify the knowledge, whether that knowledge aids in construction of theory or in the practice. So this is how it is defined in an encyclopedia. That is another definition. So any definition you take, research is all about finding out something which is not there with a proper justification. That is important. So that justification through a statistical analysis or whatever we call it, we are going to see that in a moment. That is important. As long as you are able to do that, then it is acceptable. Otherwise, for example, I may not know the name of one of the participants. When I ask that participant, he may say, "My name is so and so." Then I can't say that I did research. That is not acceptable. I did research and her name is this one or his name is this one. That is not research because there is no analysis involved in that. So some people say that known to unknown is research. That is not acceptable unless you add the flavor of analysis. That is very important point that you have to remember. Now, what is the significance of research? Because it inculcates the scientific and inductive thinking. So it is very important. So it promotes the development of logical habits of thinking and the organization. So once you start doing research, you will be self-organized and you will develop your own thinking. So for example, those students who are writing a master's thesis or a master's dissertation or a PhD thesis, research is nothing but a career. Or a professional who is working on research methodology, maybe it could be his source of livelihood. To philosophers and thinkers, it may be an outlet for new ideas and insights. for literally men and women, it may be the mean development of new style and creativity. For analysts and intellectuals, it may mean the generalization of new theory, because they work on that for generalizing the new theory. So another important point I just want to say, this is uh, a common question by many scholars when they join a university for doing PhD, or when they are ready to submit, at least by that time. But this statement gives the answer for that. So none of the universities will say that your thesis must be 100 pages or 200 pages or 500 pages. There is no limit, as long as there is a quality in it. Now, what motivates you to do research? Of course, the first one is desire to get a benefits like monetary benefits or anything likewise, and or there may be some people who decide to face the challenges in solving the unsolved problem, like now present situation COVID-19. It has many scientists are working. They are not working for doing getting a research degree, but they want to face the challenge in solving the problem. So that could be a motivation for some of them, and some of them are doing it for intellectual joy. And of course, some of them, again, another one, service to society. Many people like face the challenge and do the service to society also together. Some people do it. And of course, when you do research, you get respect. So when you do research, in the sense, when you do research and get a research degree, obviously you get respectability in the society, and therefore some people try to do it. And of course, another important one, why we have to do research, or why we have to get a research degree. Of course, directives of government or statutory bodies. Like now, ACT made it mandatory, but by 2021, everybody, in order to become a assistant professor, also you must get PhD. All these rules and regulations by statutory bodies. It could be UGC or ACT in India. It could be ABET and all, like accreditation bodies in the US and so on. So it is happening. And more importantly, employment conditions as well, because the employer depends on statutory bodies regulations or directives of government. When the government says something, obviously the employer say the same. They use the same tone, and therefore these are the motivations that lead to that force us to do research in a way. For some people do it for joy, some people do it for benefit, and so on. At the end, okay, once you start doing research, what should be the outcome? That is important. So it could be a new or improved product, or it could be a new theory. That means outcome of research is very important. Without outcome, nobody will do research. Or if you do research also, you can't claim that you have done research. So a reinterpretation of an existing theory. If it's already there, you have added some delta change to an algorithm. You can, what extent it is applicable. Of course, as already I told you, you have to justify what, or exploring a topic or area of field. Again, out of these, I have mentioned just 7. Out of the, you have to forget about the last 4. That means if you say that I have done an in-depth study of situation, please give me PhD, nobody will give you. So those are acceptable maybe at the undergraduate level. Then maybe a new improved model or perspective is acceptable at the postgraduate level. But when you are going for the doctoral degree, of course, what is expected is the first 3. That is how you have to think. So keep that in mind when you start doing your research. When you are doing it for UG, what could be, or what is the minimum that is expected? Or if you are doing research at the master's level, then what should be the outcome? At the same time, if you are targeting your doctoral degree for doing your research, of course, obviously, those 3, the first 3, improved product or a new theory or reinterpretation of an existing theory, should be your target. Now, in order to do research, the approach we need to understand, because once we understand the approaches that are available, then we can consider which approach we can follow in order to achieve that target or that product or that theory, etc., etc. So the approach, the first one is positivism, which is associated with quantitative research, and the second one is called interpretivism, which is associated with qualitative research. And apart from these two, there is a hybrid approach which is called post-positivism, a bit of both, combination of qualitative as well as quantitative. So this is how we need to understand the approaches, the concept that we need to understand. So if you are talking about positivism, that means we are going for a positivism approach, which is a quantitative based approach. So what would be, like, it could be inferential data or experimental data or simulation data. Like from a database, you can infer the characteristics using a survey, or experiments. You can do experiment by playing with the variables. If you get the results, the quantification, then it is also under this kind of approach. Whereas simulation, using simulations, different simulation tools, any simulation tool you use. So broad area, from area to topic, you are confining yourself to from this, from AI, I want to move to classification or cluster, something like that. You have to narrow down the topic. Then you talk about the research approach, which we have discussed just now. So what is most suitable there, that you have to identify. And then you have to formulate the plan, collect the data, analyze it, interpret it, present it. Presenting the finding means submission of thesis. So if research is this simple, then why people take years, or why people are not getting degrees as quickly as possible? So because the research is not linear. Research is like this. That means what happens, the difference between previous slide and this slide you can understand. So the previous slide I'm showing just linear. Now you can see it is a front and back. That means you have started identifying the area. Yes, you want to do in artificial intelligence, and you have selected, let us say, clustering. I want to do clustering, or classification I want to go, and then machine learning I want to do. That have it done. So after 6 months, you realize that already the topic is done by somebody, or you are not having interest in the topic. Now what you have to do? You have to go back and select again area. Another, it could be. Or after selecting the topic and you have decided the approach. After deciding the approach also, you may get some problems, some kind of issues which may not suit the particular data. So then what you have to do again, you have to go back to the topic or study, even change. So same thing happens at any point of time. And therefore, that's why the research process is not linear, it is a non-linear process. And therefore, people struggle because initially when you spend much time at the first, second and third steps here, you don't need to struggle later. But when you do the first three things very fast, that means selection of, yes, because I'm teaching art is criteria, should become a criteria to choose a research topic. It doesn't mean, I'm not saying that it doesn't mean when you are teaching a subject you cannot do research in that. I'm not saying that, but it should not be the only criteria. Please remember that. So that we will discuss later. So how do you do that? That means identifying the area of study or selecting the topic, all these things. This is actually the technical term for that in research is nothing but review of literature, searching the literature and reviewing the literature. And then the deciding the approach is nothing but the research choice or research strategy. And then we will go for formulating the plan, which is nothing but the project planning, using a Gantt chart or whatever you do that, and collecting the data or information through pilot study, you do that, and then analyze and interpret the data. There we are using the word coding and categorization. It doesn't mean you have to write the source code for code it, or coding is compulsory in research. No, even you may be a computer science graduate and a computer science researcher. Coding here is not a hardcore coding in Java or C++, nothing like that. It is nothing but a kind of analysis. You may use even a simple Excel sheet. If you are good at Excel sheet, you can do that interpretation and analysis using an Excel sheet. We don't mind that, as long as your data is correct, and if your analysis can be using even a Excel sheet, it doesn't require to be coding, and that's what we are trying to say. And then, of course, we present the findings using, of course, the theory. Of course, this is formulation. When you are presenting the findings, means if it is a conference paper, whatever style that is required, you have to present accordingly. Like if they may ask you IEEE style, so then you have to follow that. Similarly, if you are talking about a thesis at the end, of course, the thesis rules and regulations by university, they will give every clear instructions, like 12 font Times New Roman, all these things will be there, so that you have to follow exactly, meticulously you have to follow in order to satisfy. So that is what is about the presenting the finding. So here, the important aspect we have mentioned, that approach, deciding the approach and formulating the plan and collection of data. This is what is the heart of the research, because we do much literature, etc., etc. But without doing that, of course, you cannot come to this part. But once you do this perfectly, your outcome totally depends on this part. So if your collection of data is something wrong, or if you are not formulating it properly, and if you are not using a proper research approach or method, then the outcome will not be appropriate. So research design is considered to be the heart of the research. So every time when everybody will ask this kind of question only. So when you go for reviews, usually in the first review or second review, maybe they may be focusing on literature reviews and all. But when you move on to the second year and third year, obviously people will be interested in seeing this part. So what is your approach that you are using to achieve your objectives? All these things they will find out, or they will see. Now let us try to see one by one what exactly is meaning of choosing an area or topic, how to do, what kind of things you need to follow, etc., etc. So for example, for choosing a research topic, it could be, these are the questions you may ask, like what is your interest, or what is the interest of others. Please remember, your interest may be very old. The people are thinking about new things now. So like now design thinking is, or design thinking and innovation is now coming into picture for all engineering programs. So if you still say that I want to do my research in software engineering, people may laugh at you. You have to go along with the society. Please remember, it doesn't mean you can't do that, you can't do research in software engineering. It is not like that, but you have to be very careful through everyday observations or advices by people or seniors, professors, etc., etc. You have to identify the topic. Most important thing is to get started. That is an important thing, because every time when we want to do our research, we will think, yes, we will postpone, tomorrow we'll do, or tomorrow, that tomorrow will never come, that we know. So once you start, record it every time. So today you say, let us say you have studied an article, a journal article. How much time you have spent on that? You have to record it. Then you will get habit of doing that. You will be habituated. Then automatically you will continue your research work. So identifying the broad area is what interests you. So it requires pure self-discipline. Having an interesting topic will make it easier to complete the process. Again, this is what I was just referring to. What subjects you have enjoyed studying or teaching. So you may be teaching 2 or 3 subjects. All subjects need not be your favorite subjects, or you might have studied 40 subjects in your BTech and MTech, so on. So all subjects definitely will not be your subjects where there is interest, or you have enjoyed them. So that's where you have to be very self-disciplined. That's an important thing. So you know better than your guide that which subject you have interest, or what topic you can proceed further. That is what interests you where. So again, another important thing is IT news, etc. we are talking about. That means as already I mentioned, so what kind of areas is now the information technology is moving ahead. That I have to take care. What interests others? Very important. That means what are the latest hot topics? As I mentioned just now, now people are talking about design thinking and innovation. Every aspect. So what is the design thinking and how it can be applied? All these things that play a vital role. So that is very important. So finding or getting a hot topic is always better. And what have other researchers done in the past for the same? Choosing a topic ensures that there will be enough reference material. That means if the people have already done earlier research on a particular topic, getting reference material is easy. But however, there is a danger that you may not be able to get something new from your research. So these are the two important things that you have to balance. So one thing is getting an old topic is always good because you are getting enough reference material from it. Whereas the other one is getting a hot topic is always better because anything you do can become a research outcome. So that is where you have to balance. Is it so? When you are able to balance these kind of things, obviously you will get an output or question answer for your question. So identify the specific topic. So what are the problems that are existing in that particular area? How these solutions can be applied to new ways and new situations. Think in a different manner with a kind of lateral thinking or out of box thinking. Obviously you can do wonders. So what research methods were applied in a similar problem in other areas? So you can change. So by changing a research method, you may totally get a new outcome. So which could be a topic. That is what you have to understand. So this is where you need a specific topic. In order to identify this specific topic, you need to read materials in your broad area. So reading material is an important aspect we are talking. So please remember, this reading is another important aspect. Like for example, every day I read newspaper, maybe Enadu or Indian Express or Times of India, whatever. But did I read it really? Obviously, answer is no. I read it just for pleasure. I don't need to remember anything. In page number 2, this article is there, and in page number 3, that concept of that political news is there. No need to remember. So just read it, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever, I throw it. That's it. So that kind of reading is not acceptable for research. So this reading is different from that reading. So reading for pleasure is different from reading analytically. So when you want to do research, you have to read analytically, not reading for pleasure. So we read novels or newspapers, etc. for pleasure. So we don't need to remember anything or we don't need to apply anything. We just read and throw. But that is not acceptable for doing research. So that kind of reading is required. So we'll discuss about that later in detail. So what is that analytical reading and so on. So keep a record of what you are reading. This is another important thing most of the researchers will not do. Unfortunately, what happens is you will be enthusiastic when you start your doing research in the first year. So you meet your guide and guide says that do research or read those journal articles, etc., etc. You will start reading it, but you will not keep track of that. This usually happens with many researchers. So maintaining an important diary, you can say research diary. So where you have to mention that on that day what you have done, which author, what is the title, where it is published, and details like website, if it is website, then date or page number. So this data is very much important because this is what is going to be your references later on, which can be used as a reference or at least bibliography later on. So that is another important aspect that you have to do. So selecting the problem subject which is overdone should not be normally chosen because giving a new light in such a case is always difficult. And also you should avoid controversial subjects when you are trying to deal with engineering problems. we will not get this kind of problem. But usually the business people, when they do select problems, they may fall into this category. And too narrow or too vague problems should be avoided. This is a simple guidelines that you have to remember. So the subject selected for research should be familiar and feasible. Very important. So even then, it is quite difficult to supply ideas concerning how a researcher should obtain ideas for the research. So for this purpose, a researcher should contact experts in the field or the professors in the area. So when you talk to them, they will give new insights, because they will be always working on those areas. So they will know more insights, and they will identify more problems in that area, so which can be converted to a research problem later on. So this is a simple suggestion that everyone can follow. Where there is a knowledge, you have to grab it. That is very important. Like, for example, just now I was talking about it. Now I am giving an FDP as a resource person. 1 hour ago, I was attending an FDP. As I mentioned just now, design thinking. Professor William Oakes from Purdue University is giving a FDP in our university. So I have attended. So there is no feeling. There should not be any feeling related to selecting or gaining knowledge, getting knowledge. He may be junior to you or senior to you, doesn't matter. He may be professor or assistant professor or associate professor. If you feel that there is some knowledge with him, you should obtain ideas from that kind of person. That is very important point in order to succeed in research. So you may be able to read the articles published in literatures available on the subject, and may think how the techniques and ideas discussed may be useful in applying them to different problems. And already I have told, you may have to discuss with many people, like-minded people, and then you will get reality. What should be your problem? So this may take even 1 year or 2 years, doesn't matter. Once you complete this, once you are able to get the problem statement, and once you are able to get the aims and objectives, then it becomes a cakewalk for you. Selecting a problem and identifying the objectives is the toughest job initially. Once you are able to do that, again, the research approach and design will become part of it later. So once you have completed that part, obviously you will move forward without any trouble. So before selecting the question, you may ask yourself whether your background is enough to complete that problem or not, or do you need to go for some training? Because this is very important. If you are saying that I want to do something which is which requires mathematical formulation or mathematical modeling, and I am afraid of mathematics, then how to proceed? It is not possible. So the research, when you are trying to do some kind of research in a particular area, whether your background is accepting the problem statement or not, whether your study falls within the time or budget or not, that is important also, because you may be very ambitious and you want to complete everything in 1 year or 2 years, but the problem itself takes you another 3 years, then those kind of studies will not occur, will not happen regularly, properly. So again, are you able to get the necessary cooperation or not? All these things you have to get. So for all these questions, if the answer is yes, of course, yes, you can proceed for the next step. So the selection of a problem must be preceded by a preliminary study. Again, it is not required when which is already done by somebody else and you are trying to extend it. So that may not be, because already that literature may be available with that guy, and you may borrow it and you can go through it. Otherwise, you have to go for a detailed study before selecting the problem. So we say it is a 5-step process of defining the problem. Please remember, I have mentioned 5 steps. It doesn't mean that only 5 steps are mandatory. Professor Subramanyam said, therefore there should be 5 steps. So there may be, some people may say that this is not required. Surveying is part of the understanding the problem. So they may say it is 4-step process. So don't take that it is a 5-step process or 4-step process or 3-step process. What you need to understand is nothing but first try to develop your statement of the problem in a general way, then understand the problem and survey the literature, and then develop the ideas through discussion and rephrase the problem. So all these 5 steps I am saying doesn't mean you need to have 5 steps. You may say everything is only 1 step, which is nothing but understanding, writing the problem in one way, and then going through the literature and rephrasing it or reframing it, etc., together. So that is how you have to go about it. So general area of interest and the aspect of subject matter must be understood by the researcher before starting framing the research problem. So initially problem may be stated in a general way. So if you take the simple example, let us say the best way to understand the problem is to discuss with the people, as I already mentioned. So again, in order to do so, you have to review the literature. Without reviewing the literature, if you proceed further, obviously you will not be getting an appropriate problem statement. So in order to getting the problem statement, first you do the appropriate research review and then rephrase the problem. So rephrasing again, based on formulating or defining a research problem is a very important aspect also. Rephrasing is very important aspect because that gives clarity to the examiner or the so-called outsiders. So when you give a normal statement, so let me show you a simple example. So after that, I will give you an example to explain you how to rephrase it, etc. Now, this is an important slide I'm just trying to say. Extensive literature survey and review, that must be completed. So how to do that review or how to do that survey, which journal is good or which journal is bad or which author is good, all these things play a vital role. So when you, definitely there are some agencies like ACM, GSI and like IEEE transactions or IEEE, these papers, when they are published in those kind of journals, obviously they have a value, a credential already. So based on that, you can start reviewing the literature that is available. So how to do the research, review search using the 3 kinds of literature we are talking about, like primary, secondary and tertiary. So primary is like reports, thesis, conference reports, company reports, emails, etc., whereas the secondary, where most of the research will be reviewed, is journals, books, newspapers, internet resources, etc., whereas tertiary could be your indexes or abstract, catalogs, dictionaries, encyclopedias, citation index, etc., will fall under tertiary category. So most of our literature source will be secondary. Why? Because I said in the primary, it is a report or company report. Which company wants to share their report with you because you want to do research? So getting a primary source for doing literature survey is not easy. It's difficult. And therefore, it is always recommended to use a secondary resource for literature review, which is your journal or internet resources, etc. And again, email is a primary resource, but please remember that email must have some authentication. Like if somebody is sending email from Gmail account or Yahoo Mail, no, obviously no. But if it is from a company email, obviously yes. But again, what is the designation? Like if a CEO of a company is giving an interview and he's answering your questions over emails, that can be considered as a review material. So that can be used, definitely. It comes under primary resource. Similarly, this is another important slide, just you have to remember. I was talking about this few minutes ago, like reading for pleasure and reading analytically. So reading analytically is nothing but a process that progresses from general to particular. That means you start reading, first of all, you skim through total and then pick out the details. Maybe you can underline if you are reading physically and skim again before reading more closely rest of the content. So this does not mean you have to read the whole book, article or paper. So you will understand whether whatever you are looking for, is it available in the article or not. If that is available, you go through it again. If it is not available, you put it outside. And at this point of time, please remember, you understand that you may be reading number of articles before you start writing your thesis. So let us say you have read 200 articles. Now there is a slight difference that you have to understand, that when you are reading articles and when you are referring them in your thesis, they will become references. That means you should have some kind of in-text citation for each and every reference that you are using. That in-text citation is missing means it is not a reference. Then what it becomes? It becomes a bibliography. So that is the difference between references and bibliography. Please remember. So referencing means there should be in-text citation for each and every reference that you are using. Bibliography means you have read it, but you have not used it directly. You have used that content somewhere indirectly. So if you are not using it directly, you don't need to cite them, and it can fall under the other category, which is bibliography. So this difference also you have to remember as a researcher. So when you skim through, what is the meaning of skim? When you can say that you have read it analytically. So when you are able to justify some of them, like if you are able to understand the arguments in the paper, or if you are able to understand the hypothesis in the paper, or if there are any ethics, if there are any questions, or if there are any techniques, if there are any concepts that are described in the paper, if you are able to tell them, then you can say that you read the article analytically. If you are saying that you read the article analytically, that means you have to see that are there any standpoints by the author, are there any concepts available or defined or described by author, or is there any specific justification provided by author. If you are able to answer those questions for any paper, you can say that that paper I read it analytically. This is an important point that you have to remember. So that's why when you read it for pleasure, no need to see what is there. Is there any justification is there, or is there any hypothesis there? Nobody will ask you. But when you say that you are reading it for your research work, you must be able to answer these questions. That means, is there any special theory proposed by any other, or is there any special interpretation is there, or is there any special perspective of the author is available in that particular paper? These kind of things must be answered by the researcher. So then only you can say you have read it analytically. So I'm just giving a simple example of a problem framing. Like if you are saying that why is productivity in Japan so much higher than India? So this is a problem statement, but it is not acceptable because it is not clear enough. So if you say, if you improve it, how it becomes? What factors were responsible for the higher labor productivity of Japan's manufacturing industries during 75 to 80 relative to India's manufacturing industries? This is more better than what we have discussed earlier. So this problem statement is very, very vague. So when I made it like this, it is an improved version of the problem statement. Now, further I can do it. To what extent did labor productivity in 75 to 80 in Japan exceeded that of India in respect of 15 selected manufacturing industries? And what factors were responsible for the productivity in differentiating between two countries by industry? So, like if you are trying to say, put like this, it is becoming something better than what we have earlier. But now, after this, if I see this one, I can clearly conclude that it is very, very effective. That means the researcher knows what exactly he wants to do. But in the previous cases, it is not there is no clarity what exactly the researcher want to do. So this is how problem must be framed. Once you frame the problem, of course, you have to identify the aim, which is similar to your problem statement. So once your problem statement is what exactly it reflects in your aim. So what exactly your research will accomplish, which comes from your problem statement. Again, this aim, in fact, leads to your title of the paper or thesis. So there is a link like that. So problem statements, from problem statement, when I see problem statement, I must be able to link it or correlate with the aim. When I see the aim, it must be directly reflecting to the title of the paper or title of the thesis. So this is how you have to understand. So what exactly it will accomplish. So by this time, you should be always doing it a lot of reading, and then in order to achieve that aim, what exactly you have to do, the stepping stones, you call them. So what exactly you need to achieve in order to achieve your aim. So what exactly you need to do, they become your objectives. So the objectives should determine the data which are to be collected, and relations which are to be explored, or choice of techniques that are to be used. All these things will become, each one will become an objective, right? That's why your thesis, when you are proceeding for thesis, your research aim may have 3 objectives or 4 objectives or 5 objectives depending on requirement. So again, it is related to data collection, it could be related to relations that are supposed to be exposed, or it could be related to the choice of techniques that you need to adapt or apply. So each one will become one objective, and this is how you have to form the objectives. So once you get the objectives, of course, you will move on to the process or research design. So research design happen to be what is the study is all about, what is the study is being made, where will the study carried out, what type of data is required, where can the required data be found, what periods of time is required, what that means between the study includes between when to when, or what will be the sample design, or what techniques of collection are used, or how will the data be analyzed, and in what style the report be prepared. All these things will come into picture when you complete the problem statement, aim, objectives, and through which you will proceed further for your approach, research design, where the approach, methods, everything will go on. So this is how you have to proceed for this. Is why I am talking like this, because please remember the topic I have started like initiating research for any topic. Like in the beginning, we were saying that whether you want to do it in artificial intelligence, or whether you want to do it in machine learning, or you want to do your research in neural networks, or you want to do it in, of course, cybersecurity, or any area. What is important is these are the basic principles that you need to follow. Once you follow them, you can become a master. You can create your empire. So what exactly we want to say is, once you follow this, you can become a clear researcher in that area, and thereby you can create your own empire. That means when you publish 10 papers in the same area, you are going to become a king of that particular kingdom. There is nothing like you have to become a professor in order to get knowledge. There is nothing like that. Once you gain the confidence of processing. So please remember, this is an important aspect that I want to just share. Please remember, when we are sending our thesis and so on for our foreign educators from our university, sometimes we are getting some comments like, can this be, because they don't know us, what they say is, can it be extended further? Why? Because these kind of works are acceptable at master's level. Can it be extended to something else, something extra? So these kind of comments also we are getting. It means, what it clearly shows that from West, if you compare it with West, the research levels, their expectations is very high. They are keeping the quality at this level. But where we are trying to compromise, we should not compromise, because we are compromising because we are lacking of what we need to do. So that's why I just chose this topic, to make sure that youngsters of this institute will try to do a better research and become a good researcher in future. So with these things, I just want to, from my side, I am. So if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, dear participants, if you have any queries on today's topic, you can
Divya?
please switch on your mic and ask.
Yeah. Dr. Subramanyam,
Sir,
you have given a very excellent lecture. I found that it is very much essential at this juncture.
thank you,
So
sir.
I would like to add here, there are two approaches, top-down approach and bottom-up approach. In the top-down approach, we can we can take this research as a linear and dynamic.
Yes, sir.
Dynamic. Yeah. So we can plan, take an area, and then take a specific topic, and like that you can go one step by another step. And
Yes,
of
sir.
course, at each and every point, you have to do dynamically work,
Yes,
right?
sir. Correct.
And something a new approach. That is the
Yeah,
latest
bottom up.
approach.
Yeah.
Bottom-up approach. Bottom-up approach means while going to the literature, you may have found that some interesting points. Say, for example, you are interested to develop some tool. So you
Yes.
do it and you take some other topic. In that topic also, you are interested in doing getting some tool. So you can do that. So after that, you can combine all these things because this is a non-linear. Whereas here it is a non-linear. So selecting a tool is one at one area, selecting another tool is in another area, or selecting an application in some other area. These are all non-linear points. So
Yes, sir.
these non-linear points can be clubbed here by going here by using our skills, the skills of the student as well as the skills of the teacher. Why? Because I have adopted both the techniques in guiding my students.
Wonderful,
And
sir.
for some students, given the problem and they have done it step by step, and then they got their PhD. And some students, say for example, one student, he published about 38 papers.
Oh, yeah.
After publishing the 38 papers, we could select about 4 or 5 papers and then combine the work which is there in that 5 papers, and then and what is necessary, whether it is there or not. So you check it and verify it, value it, and then validate it, and then go for the uh, final final thesis. So
Yeah.
like this approach is also very good in because in the latest development, because everything today computer science is very dynamic, and because whatever new today will be outdated next day, and therefore
Exactly,
here
sir.
here we have to take this aspect also while selecting the topics and problems. I would
Yes,
like
sir.
to add what you said. Yeah, you
Yes,
have given
sir.
a
Yeah, I
excellent
agree.
lecture. I'm just comparing. So, what is there in the software engineering approach for development of software
Yeah,
as well
top
as
down and bottom approach. Yeah.
yeah. These two have just compared. So many of the things have been presented in the form of the procedure for the software engineering. So thank you very much, and congratulate you for giving a good lecture. And I also am proud that you have gone to that level from our university. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So I just want to add, what Professor Prasad sir is saying, it is acceptable, but it requires guidance. Like since sir is having extreme experience, he is able to compile it, so coordinate it. In other words, but for a fresher, always it is better to go from a top-down
Top
approach
down.
only.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless you have expertise, you don't go with the bottom-up approach. That is my suggestion.
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much sir, for sharing your profound knowledge with us and guiding us on the research approaches, process, and formulating the research problems step by step. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Dr. D. Aruna Kumari Madam, Professor in PhD Department, to speak few words.
Thank you, Divya. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Dr. Aruna Kumari, on behalf of Department of Computer Science and Engineering, extends the vote of thanks to all the delegates who made this session a very grand success with your valuable presence during these evening times. And also, I would like to extend my special thanks to beloved Director Sir for permitting us to organize this faculty development program, and also for addressing the gathering with the inspiring words. And now special thanks to Subramanyam Sir for enlightening us with the realities about the research directions. I want to share one point here. Subramanyam Sir is my doctoral member, and actually Sir only given the key guidelines how to prepare synopsis and PhD document. With that only I'm able to complete my PhD work. Thank you, Sir. And we'd like to extend thanks to MS Prasad Babu Sir, CSI Regional President. Thank you, sir, for your valuable presence and the motivational speech. And I'd like to extend thanks to Principal Madam and the management for supporting us in all the ways. And finally, we'd like to thanks, last but not least, a special thanks to all the participants for spending your valuable time with us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Subramanyam sir, for spending your valuable time with us. And also thanks to Dr. Surendra Prasad Babu garu for your valuable suggestions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir. Dear participants, thank you all for your cooperation. And the link of today's feedback will be circulated in your respective WhatsApp groups or email channel. Kindly fill the feedback without fail. We'll meet you tomorrow with new topic, that is theory deep learning by eminent academician Dr. G. Ramachandra, Head of R&D and Professor in CSE at VNR VJIT. Once again, thank you all. Happy evening.
Sir, please send a report after completing all the 1 week program. Please send a report so that we'll publish it in the CSI communications. Next.